again towards 2027, and today we're going to be looking at the current administration's performance in their 2 years in office. And our primary focus is going to be the FCT. Having this conversation with me is Kunle Adebanjo.
Thank you, Aisha. How are you doing today?
I'm good, thank you.
Good to see you.
Same here. How well would you say the current administration has been doing in their 2 years in office?
Well, since our focus is on FCT, I would say it's a mixed feelings for me. As a matter of fact, you can just start writing down, maybe 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, and then you talk about a lot of things like infrastructure.
Yes.
We all know the FCT minister, the present FCT minister, is known as Mr. Project, and he's been doing a fantastic job so far in the area of infrastructure. However, I have my reservations. I have my own ideas of things that I think it's lacking in. It's lacking in FCT.
Okay, and we would like to hear. We would like to hear the reservations.
We are looking at FCT, so let us look at some of the things that they have done so far. Maybe we should start with the good things.
Definitely.
And then maybe we can drive down to the other part. So as for me, I'm looking at good things they have done, which is infrastructure. And then if you look at Abuja as it is right now for the past 8 years, we have not seen any major infrastructural development like we're seeing right now. And then you know that FCT has a lot of, a very huge budget and concerning infrastructural development and all of that.
That's true.
I think during the Buhari administration, the only thing we saw was the train that leads from Iju to airport. And all the other major roads were practically abandoned halfway to the project.
And how well was the train? Did you ever use it?
I think once.
Okay.
Yeah,
and how was the service?
and then it stopped. It stopped. When you get to the airport, you realize that you cannot take the train, because it's not working at the moment for some reasons, especially when they had issues at the Kaduna train hijack stuff.
Oh, that's
You remember
true.
that time? Okay, so at that period, the whole thing just stopped. I don't know why it happened, but we have train from Idu to airport and airport back to Idu, then all the way to Kubwa. All those corridors. Yeah, we have that train service, and a lot of people felt that this is one of the things that the FCT people really need. If you ask me, I'll tell you that FCT really needs a comprehensive program to ameliorate the people's problem. This is FCT number one. We need to have a face that tells a lot about our country. This is where you have all the embassies, all the NGOs, international organizations, they are present here. So they judge Nigeria by what happens mostly in FCT. And having said that, we should understand that it is very important for us to pay attention, detailed attention to everything from infrastructure, from administration, security, health, and housing.
Okay, so this current administration, they're only focusing on infrastructure.
Absolutely, that is what I see.
They haven't touched any other area.
They haven't. I don't know, maybe you have any idea of areas, and you are in NGO, you probably have worked with them in some other ways, maybe you should let us know.
Well, like you said, infrastructure, that's all we can see for now.
That's all we can see. So what we're saying now is that we are looking at where every aspect of our lives can be touched. Take for instance transportation. Transportation is a key player in economic development. Now you have a challenge where a lot of people are stranded every evening after work to go back home. They are stranded in the morning to get to work on time. Now there's nothing stopping FCT as a 24th century city that is the capital city of the largest city in the largest, most populated city in country in Africa. And there is nothing stopping us from having rail transit across the FCT. I wonder why the federal government is not really looking at it. We have people coming from Nasarawa to come to work here. I'm talking about when you talk about people in Maraba, they are in Nasarawa State.
Yes.
Some people come from even as far as Kefi. Some people are coming from Niger State and Suleja to come to work every day. And they face a humongous challenge. Like you see how they struggle every day to get to work. Some people don't even come to work every day. because they have that challenge, and then you can't blame them.
But the administration has an extra 2 years, so who knows, maybe they're looking into that.
Absolutely, and that's why we cannot go ahead with our criticism like, okay, yes, they should have done this and should have done
So
that.
we should congratulate them for how far they've gone.
Well, we can congratulate them, because when you congratulate people, you encourage them to do more, But however, we need to touchlight those areas we feel it is very important. It's not a rocket science, Real service can be done. They're spending trillions of dollars on other road projects. Why not FCT?
That's true.
If we have a rail that run across from within the FCT, let's not even take it to outer state, from Maraba to Wuse all the way to Gwagwalada, Kuje and Buhari. If we have that link, Lagos is doing it. FCT has a huge budget. Now the other thing I see that is working for us in FCT is the ability of the minister thinking outside the box to see how we can actually boost the IGR of FCT in the area of taxation, which is good. However, I have my own reservation in that area. Have you ever gone around the FCT and see how people are taxed? I'm sure you have experience of kind of fees that you pay from one place to
even in your place of business, some outrageous bills that come and you're wondering, this is a rented place, why am I paying all this ground rent and everything? It's alarming.
And then you go to markets where you go, before you enter every market, you pay some fees, parking fees, every parking.
And
space.
It seems these fees increase maybe every month.
From time to time.
Sometimes when you get there, they'll tell you it has changed. And it's not like the fee takes the amounts. You see them with pen and paper changing the
And apart from that, the most annoying part of it is the fact that you're paying these fees, one to the FCT, another one to the local government, and the other one to whoever is in charge of it. You have all those unions that come to collect fees from time to time and all that. And it's absurd. I think there should be a sort of unification in all those levies and fees. And make sure that everybody that lives in FCT has a card. A card that allows you to do whatever you need to do. Maybe it's a sticker that's going to be on your windscreen, whereby once you're getting into the premises that you needed to pay, you've already paid for it all year. A very minute kind of charge that doesn't really, you don't have to duplicate all this payment. People are tired of all this constant and incessant payment that goes to private pockets. And I say that for sure. A lot of fees that the local government gets, they don't use it for anything. Mention how many local governments in FCT that is doing a major project that you know.
None I've heard of.
FCT still goes ahead to do it, but it collects levies. Now, local governments are going to get their fees directly. What do you think FCT local government chairman are doing with the funds and the fees and the levies, everything they collect?
Yes, so should the FCT minister be looking into that as well?
I think the National Assembly legislates for FCT. I think it's something they really need to look at seriously, and then make sure that all of this levies is embarrassing. You can imagine a private person driving on the road just because you pick one or two of your colleagues or friends and drop them by some spot. You see some scruffy looking guys running into your vehicle, pulling out your seat and all that, or harassing you.
Yes.
They don't even know who you are, if you're a foreigner or a Nigerian or whatever. They just embarrass you and then cut away your property. And
have you experienced that?
Oh, how many times?
Wow.
How many times? It's embarrassing, like I said. When people come from outside Abuja, and then you tell them, Abuja is a very safe place, nobody can misbehave anyhow. And the next thing you saw some boys, they're not even wearing uniform. Some are wearing some funny looking uniform. And then you'll be like, what's going on here?
Yeah, but these activities, did it start with this administration? Or
no, it didn't. It didn't. And that is why we're looking at all of those things.
Okay.
This administration, I don't expect the administration to look at only infrastructure. If you ask me, aside running rail from within the mass transit, to create a mass transit this thing for Abuja within the FCT. I don't think there is any urgent need for many of some of the roads that we are seeing being recreated and all that. Take for instance, I'll give you an example. If you're coming from Sheraton Hotel,
Okay.
and you're trying to go through Silverbird to turn around or to go back way to Wuse, you know that curve
Yes.
that goes round. You see them scraping that road all the way down, and you'll be asking yourself, this road was not that bad. Why does it need to be done right now when there are other roads with potholes, huge ones, that are yet to be done?
That's true. But again, you know, our FCT minister is known as Mr. Project. Do you see him going into other aspects like transportation, you mentioned, and every other?
Well, that is my sphere, because when you look at Rivers State under Amechi had a rail project that was fantastic.
Okay.
It was a transportation arrangement that would have really helped Rivers State in terms of internal transportation that will help from moving from one end to the other. It's just more or less like what you have in Lagos right now. And it was a fantastic project. But when I meet Governor Wike got there, he didn't even touch it. And I was wondering, yes, and I was wondering how Mr. Project should have done something at least to complete that project. Do you understand? Now I know that this administration is a follow-up from the previous administration.
Yes.
They are from the same party line, and then President Bola Ahmed Tinubu said it several times when he was campaigning that he was going to continue from where Buhari stopped. President Buhari stopped. And then we are expecting, and then in FCT we are seeing a lot of that. Even nationwide we are seeing a lot of that. There are so many roles that the works in the housing minister is doing presently. And I think that's a good sign that the continuation, I mean the government is a continuum, so everybody can, you know, benefit from all those projects without having them being abandoned. However, we have to pay attention. We are talking about FCT right now. And what we're saying in FCT, there's a lot to be done outside all those projects. In a few days' time, they're going to be commissioning some of those roads. You can see the Maitama interchange road and all of those. Fantastic, beautiful. I think, in fact, when they started, I really didn't understand what they're trying to do. But at some point, I realized that, oh wow, when it comes out, you realize that, oh, this is fantastic. It's actually going to make movement easier in these areas, which is fantastic. However, like I was saying, there's so many other areas. Give me your experience. What do you think about the health situation in Abuja? Talking about the hospitals and how it's being organized and all of those things. Now we have to move towards administration.
Well, the hospitality industry in FCT is, I would say, terrible. Sorry to use that word, but it's nothing to write home about. The news you hear every day is outrageous. So sometimes you ask yourself, this government, is it that they don't care about the lives of the citizens? They're not doing anything about it. Seems like they're deaf to the cries of the masses. So I think the government should focus on hospitality generally.
Well,
not just FCT.
Generally, you know, if you look at it, the health situation in Nigeria is appalling. I have my own experiences as well. I mean, personal and from friends and family and everybody. It's appalling, and I think basically the FCT should be able to set a standard for the whole nation to see. When you go to our hospitals now, I used to say something. The problem in Nigeria is not just about the government. It's about we, the people ourselves. We contribute largely to some of these problems we have in this country. It's a painful thing to hear, but it is the truth. But every time we deny ourselves the truth, we go back to feeling like, okay, yes, somebody is owing us something that is not giving us. Yes.
Well, you can say that.
I'm telling you, so it is very, very painful to know that we are not taking responsibility in some areas. There was a viral video that went viral, and then some woman and the husband, they need to go to the hospital, and then they didn't have money to pay for CAs, and then they were running up and down health scale until the woman died and all that. So if you look at those things, and then you'll be asking yourself, what happened there? Is it the failure of the government or the failure of the hospital workers, which is the health workers? Now we have some individuals, professionals that you can call them, that have failed in their primary responsibility. Let's take the government out of it. People that failed in their primary responsibility. Hospital workers or hospital professionals, doctors, nurses, they're one of them. They're some of the meanest, I don't know if I can use that word, people in this country.
Wow.
They are so mean to the extent they don't have respect for lives. Leadership is not something like a piece of cake. You can sit down like this. A lot of people talk about leadership and they be like, oh, come on, I can do this, I can do that. But go back to their house. They are head of their family, but their house is not in order. Just to rule, just a family that you have your wife and your children, you can't handle it. But you want to talk about someone handling millions, hundreds of millions of people. So it's easy to complain, but to do the right thing is a failure. How many times have you had problems driving on the road with drivers?
So many times.
So many times, and you wonder why are they driving like that? Why are they doing that?
Yes.
And then you will never ask yourself why are they doing those things. But at the end of the day, everybody will say, is this government now? If government was right, government is not going to do everything.
Okay. So finally, one word for the FCT minister.
FCT is a place where we need to have our torchlight on, because it's a symbol of our nation.
Okay.
You understand? Security is a challenge in FCT right now. I know they're doing a lot, but they need to do more. We need to do a lot more in terms of security. FCT should be a place where people can go around
At any
time they want and feel comfortable and free. That's number one. Number two, administrative, we need to pay attention to all this administration to make sure that people in the government offices are doing their job properly. If you need to move around and do all of these things, do it. Allow people to do all of those things.
Okay.
Sanitation is crazy. Wike is working, but I think the city has degenerated to one of its lowest of all time in terms of sanitation. FCT is very dirty right now. Very dirty. If you go to Wuse Banex, you see sewage pumping out of the roads, and this Yoruba mosques, during the rain.
So let's give him the benefit of the doubt.
Yes.
2 years is there to fill up the other gaps.
Absolutely.
So we've come to the end of today's program. We hope you enjoyed our conversation today. Until next time, bye.